Greetings to you from Warsaw, Poland. My name is Victor Doctor and this is my podcast, Good Morning BSS World. Business support services, modern business services, outsourcing, offshoring, nearshoring, global business centers are my all business world. This podcast is to share with you news, secrets, comments, opinions, reviews, recommendations, interviews, and many other stories concerning the BSS industry. I am the head of ProProgressio, membership, research, analytics, consulting, media and events organization located in Poland, where since 2012, together with my team, I run a lot of business initiatives supporting growth, knowledge exchange, development, communication, networking, and service suppliers recommendations. Welcome to my weekly show, which is presented to you every Sunday morning, Central European Time. Enjoy listening, and if you like it, tell others, share it, leave your opinion, or subscribe not to miss any of new episodes of this podcast. Here we are. Let's begin. Good morning, BSS World! This is the third episode of the podcast, and today it's going to be an interview. I am driving today, but my guest is Karel Francois, the Vice President of Horses for Sources Research. Hi, Karel, how are you?
Good morning, Victor. Very well, thank you.
I must say this is a test for myself because I've never done interviews, especially in the car. And secondly, in this podcast, so you are the first one to go.
Well, it's my first podcast in a car as well, Victor, so that makes two of us.
Does it mean that you had earlier on other podcasts, but not necessarily in car?
No, so it's a double whammy, as they say.
Okay, so it will be an interesting experience for both of us.
Exactly.
Karel, you are the Vice President of HFS Research, and my podcast is actually to share with the audience various information, facts, opinions, comments, and all of this stuff which are related to business support services environment. Can you share in brief what HFS is and what do you do?
So HFS Research, so originally Horses for Sources, now just HFS Research, is a niche analyst firm. So we do research, our analysts do research across the domain of everything that is sourcing, outsourcing, BSS, CSS, and intelligent automation, because we all know that intelligent automation has a huge impact on the market today.
And from your perspective, how the outsourcing, the sourcing world is developing within the last 2-3 years, so the years of your biggest growth?
I would say that the market is still growing. There's still an opportunity for outsourcing, of course. It's a growing market. The only difference we think there is that there will be winners and there will be losers. And the winners will be those providers that are able to really embrace intelligent automation and become partners of their customers for co-innovation.
Okay. And from your experience, do you think that we can connect this activity somehow regionally, or it doesn't matter? Are there any differences between the sourcing, outsourcing players in Europe, Asia, States, or probably the whole world is just acting in the same way?
I do see that it is becoming global. It's not just India like it used to be 10 years ago, or Eastern Europe as it is. So the market is expanding. We see trends like insourcing, onshoring again. But what I definitely see as an advantage for the Eastern European region is that you really see the providers and educational institutions like universities and cities and the government working together to take an advantage over other regions, I would say.
Okay. In your name, HFS Research. Research is just saying mainly what you do. So what are the main areas of research in your activities?
So there's I would say the first area to look at is what we call the One Office. It is our vision of what organizations should look like today or aim to be. And it is where the front office, the middle office, and the back office, those silos disappears and it becomes one office, because that in the end is the only way to really provide an excellent customer service to your customers. How do we look at it? Is because of our heritage in the sourcing, outsourcing worlds, is we are looking what the impact is of the advisory firms, the service providers, and the technology providers, how they should work together in order to achieve the One Office. One step beyond the One Office is what we call the hyper-connected enterprise. And it's where it's not only the connection between the customer and one enterprise, but it's when there exists a whole ecosystem of companies working together in providing services to this one customer or end customer.
And who is using this kind of services? Because being a research organization, of course, you are doing a lot to grow your position on the market, but certainly there is a group of companies who require this kind of researches or the output from them. So who are the clients of HFS?
So it's four big domains, right? On the one hand, we have our enterprise customers, also the buy side. They typically engage with us when they have the big outsourcing projects that they're working on, contract renewals, really understanding what's going on in the market, what's going to happen over the next few years, what they need to be prepared for, and who would be the best possible partners to work with, because we all know one size doesn't fit all. So we help them with their strategies in going to market and innovating their companies, in working together with advisory firms, with tech providers, with service providers. On the other hand, when we're talking about the providers of services, again, it's the advisory firms like the Big Four, it's service providers and technology providers. And we really help them to understand what is going on in the market, what is going to change in the market, because we do interview and service with the Global 2000s in the market, with those business operations leaders in understanding what their challenges are. So we help those providers as well in understanding what's going on. We give them strategic advice. We have them advise around messaging, positioning, how to go to market. And maybe one of the most important aspects where we really help organizations is we help them with their partner and license strategies, right? For technology providers, which service providers should you be engaging with, or service providers, which technology providers should you partner with, to create this best in breed organizations and really come to a hyper-connected ecosystem of companies, because one company in itself cannot solve all the problems anymore.
Can anyone be your client, or there are some things, some behaviors, some kind of a size of a business or the type of the business which may be in the group of your clients?
So anyone can be a client, of course. What I say to providers working with us, the key element is you need to be able to excite our analysts, because if the analysts are not excited about your company, if you're not innovative enough, because it's all about innovation and unique value proposition rather than the size, if you can excite our analysts, you can work with us. I would say on the enterprise side, typically the organizations we are working with are Global 2000 companies in different locations globally where they are working. And it is people on the business operations side. So we are less focused as a company on the technology in itself. We are really focused on what are the outcomes of technology and services around technology.
You mentioned global organizations from various locations, but your offices are in US and UK.
So we have 3 offices actually. Mm-hmm. So our headquarters are in Cambridge in the UK. We have since this month 2 offices in the US on the East Coast. One is in Cambridge in Massachusetts, which is confusing, near to Boston. And we just opened our Chicago office as well. And we have our office in Bangalore in India.
Okay, so it's like expanding.
It's actually been like that for a while, except for the new office in Chicago. But the company was started in the US on the East Coast. Phil First, our CEO, moved the company back to Cambridge, his hometown in the UK 3 years ago. And the Indian office has been around for quite a while as well.
And what's the size of the business at the moment when it comes to the headcount?
So we are very close to being 50 people. So we're still a small firm, but we are a very niche firm, very focused on what we're doing. And I think employee number 49 started this week in the Cambridge office in the UK.
You are also quite frequent visitor to European-based BSS events. We together met earlier this year in Plovdiv in Bulgaria, and a few days ago we were also present in the Polish-Ukrainian Outsourcing Forum in Rzeszów. How do you think Europe is now seen as the outsourcing destination for the SSC type of organizations, or outsourcing destination as a provider of services to the Western world?
I think one of the big advantages of Eastern Europe is the attitude of the people. People still want to work. They're very skilled in what they're doing, and they can really help organizations move forward to what we call the one office. The skills are there. It's about those global organizations tapping into those skills, because we have moved away from the traditional BPO business where people take the process as it was and they execute it in another location and they just try to do it cheaper. What we're looking at today, and since the last 5 years, is really co-innovation, and you need people with those skills which you do find in Eastern Europe to actually work together with your customers, think about innovation, how those processes can be improved, and then execute on it.
So it means that the, let's say, current client of outsourcing, or the current company who thinks about creating shared service center, is no longer focused on cost as number one, but rather on those skills and experience.
Cost is not a strategy. It definitely is not. And when we are doing our research, cost is still important, of course, but the key decisions that are being made on how the organization is moving forward is about growing the company and using innovative technologies for a better customer experience so those organizations can grow. So purely based on costs, no, that's not how companies make decisions anymore.
So it means that, for example, RPA and artificial intelligence is becoming more and more important in these processes as well.
Most definitely. And we can see that actually this year in 2019 and moving into 2020 is artificial intelligence is becoming more of a strategic imperative to C-level executives than RPA has been over the last 5 years. One of the key changes that we're really seeing here is, of course, that RPA in its origin was predominantly focused on the back office. When you're talking the back office, it is about trying to save cost. When you're looking at artificial intelligence and all its flavors, it's about understanding our customers in a better way. So we're seeing this move and more of a focus on the front office, which aligns with the vision of the one office about improving the customer experience. So definitely those are the areas that are being invested in today.
Okay. Thank you for this. My podcasts usually are no longer than a quarter. So we are already after 12 minutes. And I have two last questions. One of them is business and the other one is private. I will start with the business one. Where to find HFS Research? How to get to you?
Very easy. It's on hfsresearch.com. There we do have a freemium model as well. So I would say to anyone listening is go ahead, register yourself for an account, because we are the only analyst firm out there that is still providing probably more than half of our research for free, because we want to make an impact in the industry. The only way to do it is to provide enough information that everybody can access.
Thank you for this. And now the private one. I know that you are a music fan and you like jazz and you also play the trumpet. So where people can find you playing the trumpet?
So they can find me in many places. I play in a couple of bands, and it goes from on Thursday evenings in Cambridge, I go to the jam session, so all those musicians get together and play some music. But I also play in a jazz band and a big band. And this Saturday, tomorrow, we are having a concert at the Cambridge Jazz Festival.
So tomorrow will be the 23rd of November.
Yes.
The podcast is going to be available this Sunday, so after your concert.
Okay.
So people will need to search for later on for other places where you will play. Karel, it was a pleasure to talk. So thank you very much for this time and the opening interview in my podcast.
No, thank you very much, Victor, and thank you for the event as well. In CESOF this week as well. It was a brilliant event, a brilliant experience again. And it's always great being here.
Thank you, Karel.
Here we are. It was Karel Francois, Vice President of HFS Research. If you are liking what you are hearing, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and tell your friends. Perhaps they also would like to listen about BSS World. Talk to you soon. My name is Victor Doctor, and this was Good Morning BSS World podcast.